key components of what you should be working on this week in the class and what has already passed and where you should be timeline-wise in the class. The number one thing I want to make sure all of you know is that you need to have this textbook by now. I understand that the bookstore had some issues with it, getting it or not having it when the class started. Here, let me make the video a little bigger for you so you can see it. Um, but it is available now. All the information for it is on the syllabus for you. So be sure you have it. You need to be reading the first section in this textbook. The first section is called The Act of Seeing. The Act of Seeing, and it's made up of a few essays, and you should be taking notes and thinking about that. Now, that section is what we are discussing in our discussion forums. So you need to be referring to that section and practicing using MLA citation. Now, in the last discussion forum, y'all didn't do very well using MLA in-text citation. Anytime you are quoting something that is not original to you, particularly something that has page numbers, like this textbook, you need to cite either in an introductory clause the author's first name, and then put the quote or paraphrase following that, and then in a parenthetical the page numbers are the author's last name if they don't appear in the introductory clause. And this is all stuff that you should have covered in 101, but if you forgot, the writer's resource, this is the 4th edition, there's also a 5th edition, has tons of information related to MLA. Tons of it. And I do expect you to use this textbook. I'm not going to do a lot of lessons that deal specifically with MLA. I might do 1 or 2 as the semester progresses if I'm noticing a lot of errors, but really this is your responsibility. You're not always going to have a teacher telling you exactly how to do in-text citation. They're going to give you a term paper assignment, and then you will have to figure that out for yourself. If you don't have that resource for whatever reason, there are other resources. I'm going to shrink this video of me down again and pull up the website directly here. Al at Purdue is another resource. It's sort of an online handbook, and you see when I search for it immediately it pulls up MLA formatting and style guide, and it gives you all the backgrounds, including, and this is important for when you start getting ready to write that first essay, the prospectus, including what the pages should look like, what the paper should look like. There is a model paper. Let me show you here. Undergraduate sample paper. We're going to download the paper. It's not going to open, but it shows you exactly how it should look, and it has glosses on how to do it. It has the title, it has the page note, all of this information is right there for you, how to organize it. Even if you have sections, it tells you what to do if you want to do sections, although that is not required. And you see here how the in-text citations are structured in a sentence, so to give you some ideas. Remember that book titles are always italicized, and article titles, so in this case this title of the book, The World of the Image, would be italicized, but the chapter article by Denise Grady, The Vision Thing Mainly in the Brain, that title would be put in quotes. The larger title is always italicized, the smaller title is always put in quotes. So you have a lot of resources at your fingertips. Use them. I expect you to use them. It's very important that you do. Okay, so let's go into the class. I'm going to go to student view here in just a second so you can see what you need to be working on this week and into the next week. We have completed introduction and orientation. Everything should be done in there at this point. Those documents are still available for resources, but they should all be done. Latest news, you need to be keeping up with any news that I post there. I've been posting daily. Let's see here if it'll switch my role. I've been posting daily almost on there about issues with the Moodle site, if there's any issues. Like there's a note here about this calendar here, upcoming events. You see that you have 2 drop boxes listed here. This first drop box is not the drop box anymore. In fact, it won't even let you submit. There's no way to submit really to this. It's not working. So don't submit to that first Dropbox. It's not connected to anything. This is the actual Dropbox. I'm working on figuring out how to delete it from the calendar. So give me some time on that and I'll try to get that off of that calendar. But where you need to be working, and if you're following instructions in my daily post, is in this developing a prospectus and essay module. And the first thing here is the Moodle book. And you go through this and notice the reading calendar is listed there again. This document, things that make writing teachers cringe. I actually have it linked 3 different places. The library unit, which you should have just completed, is available through here, and you have the quiz at the end. And I did reopen it through Saturday just in case people forgot. I won't always be able to do that because of time, but there's enough time right now, particularly because we just got through with Mardi Gras. I wanted to give you all a bit more time on it. This is a background about the Longman Reader, and this is the link for our topic and our discussion forum. And you see here that people have already started working in the forum. Now, in an earlier post this week, I asked that you embed your posts in here. So go to this here, what I've written here. After reading the assigned sections, let's begin discussing these large concepts such as vision or image. There are some key ideas of what an image is listed in the readings. The main concepts of how vision works are discussed in the readings. Reiterate those things here. Practice citing your sources. And then there's some questions that will create conversation. What problems do you have with some of these concepts? What is left out? What do you find as fertile ground for further inquiry? And that's important when developing your prospectus. So you would click on reply. You would type whatever your subject in the reply is. You would type here in your message. I'm going to just type this as a model reply. But you would want to type something in here that discusses your readings, discusses the things you've thought about as you've been reading the world of the image, the first section here. You know, there's some really fascinating exercises. They go over the different types of exercises for peripheral and foveal vision, for scanning vision, how to do that, how sight actually is in the brain, and that our eyes are really just receptors, that our brain is interpreting and creating these images, and how if you mess with the brain, it interprets the data going through the eyes differently. This idea of when babies become aware of themselves. There's some really fascinating stuff in here, really fertile ground for conversation. So you would type about that in here, answering these questions that I have here, and reiterating some of those ideas. And then you would put post to forum, and it would give you this, and continue, and then you see it would be in there, and we can have a conversation. Now I want us to group all of the posts for the time being in this forum underneath this thread that I have posted here, and use it as the area so we're all working on the same conversation. So you need to be working on that. Now, once you have completed that, or you've started working on that, you may want to then go back to the Moodle book and start looking at this developing a prospectus. And then I have the prompts for the next couple essays. I have in-text citations explained here in video, another resource on how to do it, and the prospectus development assignment. Now, you won't actually submit this. I think I have it set up so you won't submit the prospectus assignment. No. You'll just work on that. And it's really there to help you develop your essay. Think of it as pre-writing. So as it says here, follow these instructions. And then if I have you submit it, you can submit it here. Now hold on to it, because although I'm not having you submit it to an assignment box yet, I may have you turn it in with your portfolio at the end of the semester as one of your rough drafts. Okay, and I talk about that here. I may ask you to turn in your rough draft, and there should be evidence of significant revision between the rough draft and the final draft. So, and I talk about some rubrics too for when you submit this essay. But this is a long process, as you can see from the due dates. This isn't really due until the 2nd of March. So you have about little over 2 weeks to work on this and really think about it, because it is going to require that you start researching. That's why we had all that information about research at the beginning of this and active reading and the importance of that. Plus, you're going to want to check it for grammar, go by the Writing Center, have them help you with it. There's a lot of steps involved because this prospectus is a big part of your final grade. All these little assignments you've been doing, like the discussion forums and the quizzes and that sort of thing, they all add up together to 15% of your grade. But this essay just on its own is, I believe, 15% of your grade. So that's something to remember. The essays are really weighted quite heavily and therefore very important. All the activities you do before the essay are meant to help you develop the essay. So if you are not participating in the forums, of course, you're not showing me that you're doing the reading, you're not showing me that you're really actively engaged in developing the paper, and what that is telling me is you're not really engaged in the class, and I will most likely be less lenient with those students on their essays than I would be on students who have participated in the forums. And I will, after this week, I will not be posting daily updates. I will be checking email regularly, but I also will now focus primarily on being involved in the forums. So I'll be checking the forums to see that you all are posting there. If you don't post in there, it's a significant portion of your participation grade that will result in a 0. So I hope this sort of update video gives you some ideas on where to start and what you should be working on. Next week I will post one where I will show you how to set up your essay specifically in MLA format, and talk about how to move some of these ideas from the prospectus into an essay format, like how to think through and organize your thoughts in an effective manner. And effective essay organization. It's something I normally talk to with my 101 students, but since so many of you are coming from other classes, you may not have gotten this essay format in the past. And I think I've touched on it in a few lectures, but I haven't really done one that's specific to this assignment. So be on the lookout for that. But you really need to be working in the discussion forum. Don't wait until you've finished all the texts that are assigned to read. Actually start participating now, so you can use the forum as a way to discuss what you're reading and thinking about it, and get suggestions from each other on how to look deeper into these ideas or articles that might be interesting, and ways to narrow the focus of your research, because that's really what your job is with the prospectus. As always, if you have any questions, please keep the questions in the Q&A forum, and save these forums for these subjects. Save those for our actual discussion of the readings.